So in today's session, it's me. My name is Magnus and I'm CTO for Ftrack. And with me, I have Mattias.
Yes, I'm Product Manager for Ftrack. It's great to be here.
So today we will talk about the new features, of course, in 4.5. We will show you how they work in a demo environment.
Yep.
And we really hope that this will be useful for you. We have some really nice features to give to you today. So Mattias, you want to add something?
No, I think this will be great, and I'll move over to Ftrack and I'll demonstrate the features for you, show you like the benefits and how the features are actually working in a real training environment.
We will go through real-time synchronization with media review. We will show you side by side. We have done improved media resolution, which means that you can view pictures and also video in higher resolutions than before. We are introducing a Review Pro add-on, which means that some of you guys that really need the 4K video, for example, and more people in a review session, we have improved for producers, the producer theme, and now you will be able to clone a workflow schema, and we have worked with performance.
Yeah, that's a high-level summary, and I look forward to dive into the details.
Okay, so let's start with synchronized media review. Can you tell us a little bit why and the background to this feature?
Yeah, so when people are working more and more remotely, it's very important that you remove any uncertainties from the review and approval process. So we're working with people that are not sitting next to you. There is always a certain amount of uncertainty. Are we looking at the same frame? Are we looking at the same video clip, the same image? With synchronized review, we have removed these obstacles. So you always know that you're looking at the same thing. If I annotate, you see it on your screen, I know that you see it, and we can communicate and work much faster than before.
So let's look into the details around this feature.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, any action that you do while you review and you're in sync will be mirrored to all the participant screens simultaneously. So if I annotate, if I change video clip, if I zoom and so on, I know that everyone is looking at the exact same thing. That eases out any uncertainty or any obstacles while reviewing and gets you to an approval or a new version much faster. And of course, this works with high resolution images. It plays back in full speed if you review videos. It supports also PDF, so it's really a full feature for the entire player experience in Ftrack. This works now on all workspaces, so it's out. It doesn't cost anything extra except like the fee that you pay for your subscription fee that you have for Studio. You're limited to 2 simultaneous participants in this scenario. And then if you want more about the Review Pro add-on, and you get up to 10 participants in live sync. So it's a really good deal, and I think you'll really like this. All right, next is side-by-side comparison, another great feature that we've added to Studio 4.5. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Magnus?
With this feature, you will be able to put 2 versions side by side and compare and play them at the same time. This is very powerful when you want to view what's the difference between the 2 clips that you have received. And one good thing here is that this also works in sync. You can use the sync review option when you do this.
Yeah, works for images, PDFs. Yeah, it's a great feature, and we will show it to you soon.
Yeah, and then the resolution.
Yeah.
In the media player, you can, if you have uploaded high resolution media or 1080 or something, you will also get a lower res, which means that you can switch between resolution depending on how much fire you have in your network, so to say. So if you have low capability network, maybe you're on your phone or something, you can use the lower resolution. But if you are in your office on a high-speed network, you can use the high resolution. So you can switch between. Anything else? Images?
Yeah, images. We have improved the quality of the image playback quite a lot. So if you upload a high resolution image, we support up to 8,192 squared, and also transparency. We have also changed, so we now encode to a lossless format if you upload, for example, a PNG. And at the same time, we now preserve the transparency in the images, so we keep those. So it's overall the quality of the media reviews has improved quite a lot with Studio 4.5. And then we've done some changes to UX, Magnus, around full screen mode, for example.
You have the option to work with that. And we've also extended the UI, the area where we play the media in the UI. So you can use more of the screen to actually show and see the media that you're working with.
Yeah. And when downloading files, we also include a bit more information on what resolution that file is encoded in and so on. So that works better now if you choose to enable media downloads on your reviews.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Next slide.
So this will be the Review Pro add-on?
Yeah, this is the Review Pro add-on. It's the description on what you get when you add some extra money into your subscription. You can do 10 simultaneous users in sync, and you get more storage. With the higher resolution up to 4K, you also need some more space to store this media. So we give you a double amount from the basic subscription plan.
And this is something that you can buy as an extra add-on to your Studio subscription, or if you're using the Review product currently, you would have that as an option too.
That's the last slide before the demo.
Yes, let's jump into the demo and have a look at these new review features.
Really nice. We are already in the Ftrack environment.
Yep.
So show us the good stuff.
Yes. So we have loaded up a client review session, and I'll go through now together with you, Magnus, a few of the new features in Studio 4.5. So I'll start out with one of the really coolest features that we have delivered, and that is the ability to compare side by side. As you can see now, we're looking at a video clip playing through here, and up here we have the usual version selector that I can expand, so I can see that I've previously I could just jump between versions like this. So now I've loaded version 3 of this asset. With Studio 4.5, I'm able to click on compare versions here, and I can see them side by side here. So you can see up here that it switched over to the compare mode side by side. So if I play back these two, you can see that I can spot differences here on the right side and compare that to what I have on the left side. So on the left side, I have the latest version, which is version 3 of my asset, and on the right side, I have version 2. And I can use this now to annotate and give feedback and perhaps see that I've resolved any issues that were reported or brought up on a previous meeting. So that's a really good feature that you can use during your reviews.
Can you annotate on both of these clips, or is one of them kind of master?
Yeah, so the left one is sort of the primary asset that you are annotating and commenting on. So I'll go ahead here and do some annotations, and then I'll say that this looks much better. I'm approving this. I'll check approve and I'll post. You can see on the right side here that it popped up, and if I want to, I can bring up the annotation like this, or if I turn off the side-by-side mode, I can just click on it to load the annotation here, like so. All right, so that was the compare side-by-side feature. Now let's talk a bit about playback in synced reviews. So up here to the right, where I have my mouse pointer right now, you can see that we have two collaborators right now in this session. And you can see from the small green circle that they are both online. So I can see that Eklov, that's you're online, and I can see myself as well, so I'm also online. And you can actually see if I've approved or reacted or required changes on this version. When I now click up here, Start Sync, Magnus will immediately see on his screen that he will be able to join the sync. And I can also see on my screen that I have a small purple indicator now up here saying that I am in sync. So now we'll wait for Magnus to join the sync.
Yes, so I click on join sync as well, and I'll join sync.
And on Magnus's screen, you will also see that he immediately jumped to the same frame that I am on. I can go in here and click play, and it's going to play through on both screens. And when I pause, it's going to pause on the same frame on both screens, like this. Any operation that I do, if I zoom or if I pan around the image like this, it will be synced to Magnus's screen as well. So I can bring up my annotation tools like this, and I can start annotating like so. And Magnus will also see that on his screen. So we can have this collaborative approach to the whole review, which is super good if you want to get fast turnarounds when you do your reviews. So Magnus, do you want to show a little bit on the laser pointer and what you can do with that?
Yeah. I can use the laser pointer and I can highlight stuff that I want to discuss, even when we are in sync. So I can also do annotation as well at the same time. I would recommend you to start a little bit slow and let someone start to annotate, and then other people can come in and continue on the same frame. It would be good to show also what happens if we change, for example, a version, and if we have side by side, what happens then when we are in sync, Mattias?
Yep. So I'll go here and I'm going to clear the annotations here, and then I can go up and go to compare versions mode. And as you can see on Magnus's screen, it's going to be syncing this as well. So we can always be sure that we are looking at the same thing, which is super good. If I pause this and I'll close the compare mode, you can see that if I, for example, if I switch clip in here, that's going to sync as well. So
it's so cool. I think it's so cool.
Everything here is in sync. If you have images that you review, or if you have PDFs and you flip through the PDF pages, everything is going to stay in sync. So you know that your participants and collaborators, they're looking at the exact same thing. And if I go up here, for example, we go up to compare mode, and perhaps I move on and I annotate something like what happened to this, and I post it. You can see that I'm annotating on the left-hand side of the screen. We grayed out the right-hand side, and I'm going to post that. And that's also going to appear in a short moment on Magnus's screen. What else? This works for both videos, images, and PDFs. So as you flip and go through a multi-page PDF, it's going to sync there as well. So I think this is the gist of the live sync feature. It's great. You have it for free within your studio subscription, up to 2 participants. If you need more, you can buy Review Pro, and you get up to 10 participants at the same time. Right. So I think let's check out now a few new features in the player for example, high resolution playback and a few UX improvements that we made.
Yeah, so please, Mattias, take us through this nice new features.
All right, so I'll cheat a little bit. The last part here I want to show you in the review interface is improvements that we have made in terms of video and image quality. In this session, I'll focus on video encoding, and you can see here that I've actually have Review Pro now on my Ftrack instance, and I've uploaded a 4K video clip that allows me to play back this video in 3 different resolutions. It's going to be a 700, 720p version, a 1080p version, and a 4K version. And I can switch between those depending a bit on my perhaps my network quality. I can switch so that I can see the highest optimal resolution for me. I also have the ability to I also want to show you an improvement that we made for if you have enabled downloading of medias. So here, if I click download, I'm going to see all the different compressed proxies that we have encoded. And I can see what resolution they are. So if I download it, I know that I get the correct one. You also have access to the original uploaded file here as well. Another good feature is the revamped full screen mode. It has support for a lot more features. You can even go in compare side by side here if you want to. You can bring up using shortcuts. You can pause and you can bring up annotation tools here from the player. You can switch resolution and so on. So the full screen mode is a great way to bring up a video or an image or a PDF in more focus on your screen, and you basically use your screen space better if you want to have more focus on the media. So those were the features that we wanted to show you today in review, and we're going to jump back now to the presentation.
Next topic, improvements for producers. We have been working with this producer theme for almost a year, I think. And we are releasing more features for producers every release we do. And this time we have implemented some more nice to have stuff in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So could you tell us some background around this producer improvements, Mattias?
Yeah, so with 4.3 and especially 4.4, we did a lot of features and improvements around areas in Ftrack where producers are working a lot. And that is quite a lot around both planning, but more heavily perhaps behind or around the task spreadsheet and the version spreadsheet. We started out that work in 4.4. It was a big release in terms of enhancements, and we will continue to build that with 4.5. So we have sort of switched focus. We still do a few things in the task spreadsheet, but we have switched focus a little bit to the versions page, where we've added new attributes and new filtering capabilities. And I think we'll go through them now and then demonstrate them to you.
Yeah. First, link attributes in spreadsheets. Matthias, what can you tell us about this feature?
Yeah, so first some background around links. So links can be used to link different objects in Ftrack together. So for example, if you have an asset build and you have a shot, you can set up a link and you can sort of keep track of that the shot is using these asset builds to build up the shot. And previously you had to go through the sidebar to see these links. In Studio 4.5, you are now able to actually add an attribute and a column in your spreadsheet to see them. So that gives you a much better overview because you can see them all together. So in a minute, we will look into this feature more in the user interface, but now we can skip to the next slide and I can talk a little bit about the versions page. So the versions page has two features. The first feature is that you're now able to see a lot more of the task attributes and also custom attributes from tasks in the versions page. So you can choose from much more there, and you're also able to filter on those. So to narrow down on, for example, a version that was published on a task with a high priority or from a certain assignee, for example. And if we continue here, we have also added more to the asset parent attributes in the versions page. So you can choose from both custom attributes and built-in asset parent attributes. So that would, for example, be attributes on your asset build or on your shot. And you can also filter on these. New in 4.5 is also the ability to edit both the task attributes, but also these new asset parent attributes. So that's a great new feature that a lot of customers has been asking for. And another feature that we will show you today is having week numbers in your timeline views. So both in the timeline view that you have on your overview page, but also if you go into a project and open the Gantt, you will have the week numbers at the top header. For some of our customers that work a lot and thinking about dates in weeks, so week 30 and so on, they will find this feature very useful.
I love this feature, and always when you get children, you switch from not caring that much about what day or month it is to really knowing what week is it. When is the holiday coming up? If it's week 10, then you need to know that you need to see it week 10.
Yeah. You can use this to plan your holidays.
Yeah, that's what you need it for.
Yeah, so let's jump into Ftrack now and have a look at these features.
Yeah, especially the week.
Especially the week numbers.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So the first feature I want to show you is seeing the incoming and outgoing links from, for example, a shot or an asset build. I have the Spring project here, which is an animation project, and I'm looking at all the shots on sequence SQ001. So I've loaded them here. You can see the shots in the spreadsheet along with thumbnails and our new attribute, which is links. So I told you a little bit about what links is before, but essentially you can map different or relate different asset builds or shots or products or whatever you track in Ftrack together. So here I've linked my shots to some asset builds, and I've added the links attribute here. You can choose between outgoing or incoming links depending on what you're looking at. So incoming would be, for example, incoming from asset builds, or outgoing would be outgoing from asset builds to shots. So you can choose between incoming and outgoing here. And this is the same as you will find if I open one of these in the sidebar like this. I can just list the links. So you have them up here in the spreadsheet. It works like a normal attribute. I can just drag it around, resize it. I can click on one of the links here and load the asset build from here, like this. And if you track a status explicitly on your asset builds or on your shots, you will see a small circle here that identifies the status of the asset build or shot. So that's the link attribute. I'll switch over now to the versions page, and I'll show you a few new features here. One of them is, if I go up here and choose attribute, is the ability to select from a bunch of more attributes from tasks. So for example, I can select priority here, I can select assignee or status, like this. And you can bring them in here and use them in your spreadsheet like this.
And just what are you doing now? You're dragging them, selecting them where you want.
Yeah, exactly. I'm rearranging my spreadsheet according to how I want it to work. And I can also open the filters here, and I can use the same attributes here. So let's say I'll focus down on only versions that has been only versions that has been published on a task that is in high priority, for example. So if I filter, you can see it like this. And I'll also show you another feature that we have added to the version spreadsheet, and that is the ability to edit asset parent attributes. So an asset parent is basically where you published your version. That could be like a shot or a scene or an episode or an asset build. Whatever you track in Ftrack as an object can be your asset parent, basically. So I'll go ahead and I'll add let's say the status of the asset parent, and perhaps the type as well, if it's a shot or whatever, perhaps an environment asset build. And I'll remove my filter there as well. So here we can see the asset parent attribute, and I'll switch over to asset build so the type makes sense. So here I have my versions published on asset builds. I have a type called character here, environment, and so on. And in 4.5, you can also edit these attributes. So I can say that this asset is, this asset build is now approved, and you'll be able to access that from here. We've also added abilities to bring in attributes from, like custom attributes from both the tasks and asset parent here. So there's a much more flexibility in the versions page for producers to set up and really sort of narrow down or see more things at the same time in these spreadsheets. The last feature that I'd like to show you now in 4.5 in regards to producers is the ability to see in the timeline views. So this is quite an easy feature to understand. If I look at the top of my my timeline view here, you can see that it says week 26, June 22nd. And it's the week part here that is new in this version. It's a small enhancement, but it's quite important and nice to have for these views if you're working with weeks. So that's I think that's the features for producers that we had planned to show.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mattias.
Now we're back.
Yeah, now we're back and we're going to look at workflows.
Yes.
So, Mattias, in Ftrack, we can basically set up any workflow.
Yep.
And it can be a lot of work. and we have had a request to reduce that workload for people working with the pipeline. So can you give us some more background to this feature?
Yeah. So I think this feature appeals to a certain group of users who are, for example, as I said, like pipeline or administrators that manages the workflows in the workspace. And you could have, as you know, you can have many types of workflows in Ftrack. You could have one for VFX, one for product design or animation. Some companies prefer to have one workflow because they are working only in commercials or only with product design. But some customers want to have, some users want to have different kind of workflows on different kind of projects. And to ease sort of the time spent on setting up these workflows, we have now introduced what we call a clone feature. So you can go in system settings and you can clone a workflow, essentially creating a copy of it, and you can continue to work from that. And that reduces the time or the time spent on sort of this manual process of setting up your workflows. It reduces the risk of something being wrong and so on. So it's a great new feature for those of you who want to work with many different workflows.
And well, we have also implemented this into the API, which is on the next slide, and this is when it becomes really powerful.
Yeah. So for example, if you have a staging server, you could copy it from your staging server. That's an example.
Yeah.
So you're able to sort of update and create workflow schemas from the API. And as I mentioned, one use case could be that you have a staging environment where you set up your workflow, verify it, and then you copy it over to your production environment. And I can also mention that we have put together some examples for this. So in the Python API docs, you can find a working example of how to create a workflow schema. And we will jump in to demonstrate the cloning of workflows.
Great, let's do it. Okay, it's time to show you how it works when you clone a workflow schema. Mattias, go ahead.
All right, so we can switch over to my screen then for a second, and I'll navigate to system settings. So this is where you find your workflow schemas. So under schema here, I have a bunch of different workflows like this. And as you might know, if you go in and set this up yourself, there is quite a lot involved in setting up a workflow schema. So in Port 5, as mentioned, it's much easier. You just if you have a workflow schema that you like and you want to tailor somehow, you just go in here and you click your workflow schema that you want to copy, and you click clone. And when you select it here, you get I selected VFX, and I get a copy of VFX, and I can rename it to whatever I want, and continue or immediately start to use it on my next project, like this. And when I create a new product now, I can choose this new schema that I've tailored only perhaps for this project, or a sort of a new generation of workflow schemas that I want to continue to work with for my upcoming project. That was all.
Okay, thank you very much, Mattias.
Thank you.
So let's talk about performance improvements. Mattias, what have we done here?
Yeah, so we have improved performance in two areas in the API. One is around filtering on task names. So, for example, if you have a sequence name, a shot name, a task name, and you want to find that exact item in Ftrack, which is a quite common operation in the API, we have improved that a lot, especially if you're working with big data sets. Another area where we improved is the query performance for custom attributes, which is also an important feature in the API, since a lot of our users are heavily reliant on custom attributes. So this is great, and it's actually while improving it, since we're also using our own API to sort of build our user interfaces, you will see that come through in your Ftrack instance as well. So certain views might be working faster than before, and so on.
Can you give an example of which view that is faster because of this?
Yeah, for example, if you build a cross-product view, as you see in the slide as an example, and you're using custom attributes, that will work faster. And also, if you set up for example, a view in the cross-product views to filter down on a sequence or perhaps an episode, that will also work and load faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yes. Yes.
Really good news.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure showing you this stuff together with Mattias. And the highlights for me in this session is, of course, all the things that we have implemented into review, synced review, side by side, everything around that. Possibility for producers to get more nice features.
Yeah, plenty of useful features for producers.
And we will continue with that as well. So you will see more in our next release, 4.6.
Yep.
And that's about it. Anything?
Yeah. No, I think this was good, and I hope that you have some new ideas and find out about a few new features that you want to check out and use more.
So thank you, enjoy 4.5, and have a really, really great summer. And take care, stay safe, and see you soon again.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.